I'm gonna get you to power clean 225 and we're gonna start right now. One of the biggest aspects around getting multiple different athletes to power clean over 170 kilos or 370 pounds. And one of the other aspects around getting someone like Haley Reichert, who only weighed 110 pounds and could power clean over 200 pounds, is that we have to look first at that specific warm-up. So we're gonna start with Evan here, who's gonna go through starting with that PVC pipe walks, okay? And this is going to be an integral part around how we're going to develop an athlete to smash that PR and ultimately for you guys, power clean 225 pounds. One of the things that I learned while being at the Olympics, while being at multiple different world championships, is that basically every single world-class athlete is doing some form of a power clean. Sorry for people who don't like weightlifting movements, but if you go to the Olympics or you go to a world championships or you go to even a continental championships and you go spend time in the weight room, literally 90% of the athletes are in there doing some type of power clean. Now Evan's gonna go into a split squat rotation here with the band. You're gonna rotate this way and try and get to 180 degrees with that lead leg here, holding like this. There you go, good job. Now don't move the left hand all the way around. So we have to first establish where is your back squat, okay? So ideally with most athletes, give me 7 on each side. With most athletes, you're gonna see a good starting point would be if your back squat, let's say is at, let's say with mental math, around 175 kilos. And if we're looking at like 80% of that, you're typically going to see that's where their full clean will be. And then you'll start to drop down and you'll see that based off of their full clean, they'll be at 60% of their best back squat with their power clean, okay? So that's a starting point. Now, Evan, after you did both sides, the next thing I want you to do is trunk rolls. So you're gonna be here and you're gonna roll to a Superman and then roll back and forth. So if we can establish someone's back squat at a certain degree, and then we can see where they're at currently. Now use that 80% of their back squat is going to be a full, try to have, yeah, that's pretty good, but try and stay up a little more on like the mid part of your belly button, lower back, good. And back and forth, 5 each way. If you can start at 80% as their full compared to their back squat, and then another 80% of that full or 60% of the back squat is where you'll see their power clean. Then you can start to build out where that athlete needs to be based off of their potential and based off that current percentage to then hit a big PR. With that being said, next thing you're gonna do here, come back up, okay? Here, come back up. So we're putting Evan through this warm-up, okay, and this is something that you guys can do today. We're gonna talk about his specific numbers, so I'm gonna give you some real-life scenarios. Then we're gonna talk about the technique, specific exercises that you guys can use to build up that power clean to 225, and then what you need to do if you have specific issues around that power clean so that all of you watching this can at least power clean those 2 big blues on each side. Still finishing up this warm-up. This is the general warm-up. Duck walks forward, backwards, and then duck hops forward, backwards. I think everybody should know by now, this is the GS warm-up, and it's really important that we do some type of general warm-up, and it shouldn't take more than 7 to 12 minutes, okay? And then some type of specific warm-up. So Evan's gonna finish off this general warm-up, then we're gonna get into the specific warm-up with positions, and then we're gonna see all those sweet exercises to get his clean up to 130 kilos for him, and ideally for you, 225 pounds. We're operating in standard and in metric. Now a little hoppy. Good. You can go backwards if you want. If you're athletic enough to do that, Evan. I know you can do backflips, but I don't know if you can actually hop backwards. Okay, good. Okay, so Evan's a seasoned lifter, so he's gonna start with his front rack position. I'm just gonna have him do 3 front squats. Remember, we did the general warm-up. Now he's doing a specific warm-up. So he's gonna go 3 front squats, okay? And then we're gonna go above the knee from a pull. Now the big thing here is that I want him to stay flat-footed as long as possible and extend and keep that bar tight. We actually catch it though. Good, okay, 3 of those. Okay, nice and easy, good long finish. Wrap those elbows fast, 1 more. Big extension, good. Now go below the knee. Good, 2 more. And I want to point out when I'm talking about these percentages, okay, so using Evan's back squatted 175, 80% of that for a full clean would be about 140. He's hit a 140. Now going down, 60% of that back squat would be around a 105 power clean. He's powered 122. So right there, you can see that his power clean is actually around 70% of his best back squat. So as a coach, we can immediately see there's some issue here based off of his power, his speed of his lift versus his top end strength. So it's like if you push your power to a specific distance, that you start to close the gap with that top end strength, well then you start focusing on pushing your back squat strength. So that's the big aspect here, is that now we know we need to push his back squat strength to try and get up over 180 to 190, somewhere around those lines. Now, Evan's gonna demonstrate 3 of the best exercises that you guys can use just based off of an actual clean, and then we're gonna get into even further detail around other squat accessories, plyometric movements, and some more discussion around actual percentages. The first exercise that we're gonna start off with is going to be a no feet power clean. So we want his feet, the pulling stance should be in the position where he is going to receive a power clean. And this is one of the best technical movements, give me like a double here, that you can use, especially when teaching football players or any newbie, okay? A lot of football players like to starfish with their catch. They'll go all over the place. And if you teach them how to power clean without moving their feet, give me one more, their feet should stay in that front squat position, okay? So they have a long force production, they put force in the ground for a long period of time. They'll plantar flex, and what ends up happening is instead of getting back here and jumping, they're actually learning how to put more force down as effectively as possible, and they're gonna keep that chest more vertical instead of getting it back. Okay, and then that's gonna help them when they're going to apply force into an opponent, or if you're dealing with wrestlers or anyone along those lines. Give me one more. So the big factor here is we're gonna use the no feet power clean for, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks in this entire program. Okay, so the next exercise, we're gonna do a low hang power clean. So this is where we wanna focus on strengthening an individual's lower back and hamstrings. If we have someone who's quad dominant and here he's gonna be able to move his feet, we wanna go below the knee. Now go. Good. And we want to make sure he's still catching this power clean in that same position. So another one. And we want to feel good, eccentric, strengthen the posterior chain, the hamstrings, the lower back. Good. Some of the most important concepts here, and we're going to show you a third clean variation that's going to really blow up that power clean that's not even a power version. The big keys here is that if you need to power clean 225 for the first time, that's like a lifetime goal for a lot of athletes out there. You can get to the point where you can power clean 225, then you should be able to full clean closer to 300 pounds. Now, some of the big concepts is that inside of peak strength, we like to focus on these exercises for 6 to 8 to 10 weeks to really build up the proper mechanics, to build up the proper speed, the timing, the rhythm, so that you get that good acceleration. So make sure that we're focused on this long term. That's exactly why you guys can head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. You're gonna see exercises just like this next one. So we're gonna come over here, we're gonna get on a 1 box position. So Evan's gonna load up reds while I continue to talk, because I wanna mention, okay, if we have an individual who wants to power clean, or let's say right now your back squat's 140 kilos or around 310 pounds. If we do math, I'm gonna do pretty quick math in my head. 80% of that is gonna be around 240 to 245. 80%, so that's gonna be a full clean. 60% of that back squat is gonna be around 85 kilos or around 185 pounds. So if you can back squat almost 3 plates on each side, ass to grass, those are probably close to where you're going to be with your full clean or with your power clean. So we know that we need to push that full squat up to 350 to 375 if we want to pull that power clean up to 225. If we're already at 225 and we're only back squatting 310, then we know that we need to do more of this next exercise. So Evan's gonna demonstrate a 1 box clean. And there's a big factor here, because this is happening in a shorter time frame, okay, there's less distance, good. A little bit longer pull. Need 2 more. This is where we wanna see confidence grow in an individual. There's a shorter pull, so they have to have a large impulse expression into this pull, okay? They're gonna have better confidence or higher higher levels of confidence to execute something at high speeds. And what's interesting is that when you see a one box full clean, when that starts to grow, let's say that Evan can hit 140 to 145. I actually think you have hit. He's hit 45 off of this, okay, from a one box. When you start to see this lift pull up, what ends up happening is the power clean starts to grow because the speed starts to increase for that specific lifter. So it's a unique way to use that no feet power clean to teach the athlete how you want them to move. Use that for 6 to 8 weeks. Then you can get into using that low hang power clean, and then ultimately even greater confidence at higher speeds with more weight from that one box clean. Now, there's a couple other factors that we've seen with a lot of athletes that struggle to power clean 225 is that they struggle to actually stop the weight as quickly as possible. So now we're gonna give you 3 awesome exercises that you can use that aren't even weightlifting specific. Well, one is actually very weightlifting specific, but the other 2 are plyometric based to really increase that stopping force, which again is gonna help you guys hit those 2 blues for the first time. You are sore, aren't you? Terribly sore right now. Got to demonstrate double bounce front squats. Okay, so let's get into this because I think there's a couple cool things. First, Evan, make sure you actually put weight on properly. Second big factor, we have 100 kilos on the bar. It's 220, we're just using the 225 because most people watching this in the United States are gonna be trying to power clean 225 for the first time. I think that's like a good baseline to get to. I really like using ratios, like I mentioned with the squat to full to power, okay? That's one ratio. This next exercise is a double bounce front squat. So Evan's gonna demonstrate what that is, and as he does that, I'm gonna talk about some of the discussion points here. Usually what your triple double bounce front squat is, okay, if you can triple this weight, this is what you should be able to full clean. Okay, so he's doing, let's just say one more. He should be able to easily full clean 225. So if your goal, if you haven't full clean 225, then your big goal is, all right, I gotta hit this triple front squat at 100 kilos or 225 pounds, 220 to 225. I need to hit that for 3, okay? And I'm gonna be able to full clean that. I should have that strength reserved to be able to do that. Now, if we're not doing a double bounce, if he's doing a normal front squat, that would be a 5 rep front squat, should be your full clean. Your 8 to 10 rep front squat, which is absolutely horribly hard, should be about what you can power clean. Some athletes, that will be their full clean because they struggle usually mentally to actually get under the bar. So if that's you, then we need to work on some of your full clean issues. So in this case, go one more demonstration of this double bounce. I love using double bounces to help teach athletes how to stop on a power clean. Because when you get to that bottom position, you have to hold that upright trunk and you can't waver. So what ends up occurring is that at that bottom position, you're actually training your core, you're training your trunk, you're increasing your dynamic trunk control to be able to receive that power clean here nice and stout and really hold that tight. And you're putting a lot of force into the ground to stay rigid, and then you can catch that. There's a video of Jamar Chase power cleaning like 315, and you can see the weight like sort of bouncing like this when he catches it, and he's super, super rigid. That's gonna help him with agility. That's gonna help him with his speed. That's another thing that watching someone like Eric Favors power clean 180 kilos or Sam Mattis power clean 170 kilos. When you see these athletes power clean that much weight, you realize they have to have strong abs, they have to have a strong back, and that's the one missing factor oftentimes with people who struggle to really slam on the brakes. Now we've got 2 more exercises that are a little bit more specific to plyometrics, but they will absolutely help you slam those brakes on so that you can achieve that 225 power clean. Change your shoes, Evan. Now the last 2 exercises that we're gonna do here are gonna be 2 plyometric based movements that are gonna help you increase that power clean. I love using plyometric based training on athlete day. And if you're inside of our strength training app, if you're in it for sports performance, you're gonna see that there's specific sports that we have programs built out for, and you will have an athlete day along with days that you're gonna focus on leg strength and impulse based training. If you're in the weightlifting system inside of peak strength, you're gonna see jumps like this happen on athlete day. So Evan here has a 42.5-inch vertical, but sometimes he still struggles with powers. Okay, he still just sort of collapses down into the bottom. So I'm not even gonna cue him on how I want him to jump first. I'm just gonna watch him jump. And then I'm gonna educate you guys and Evan on how his jumps could be executed at a little bit better degree to increase that power. And then finally, we're gonna finish off this video with what you need to squat if you wanna power clean 225 pounds. Go ahead, Evan. Okay, not bad here. Now, the first rep, he sort of collapsed just a little bit, and a lot of younger athletes will almost completely fold down to the bottom. So give me one where you almost do like a full squat and then jump back over. Yeah, okay, good. So if you notice, even on this one, he went down to about the Joel Seedman 90 degrees. On this one, the first one, he went all the way down to the bottom. What I wanna see is him land like right here, okay? Because what should happen is that once we are able to hit that good clean, this should be where you should be able to stop the bar. So I want to see on these jumps that he can land, boom, and just react right away. So let's do that. Good. And what ends up happening is that if you have athletes who can't clean 225, when they learn how to jump this way, they start to find rhythm and timing in their arm swing. They start to have better rhythm when they sprint. And that's one of the big aspects around jumps, around the timing that you'll see, the coordination that you'll see when you're even doing some type of technical coordination movement like a power clean, like a low hang power clean, like a one box clean. Now, the last exercise, let's move this over. Evan, I want you to start on that white line and we're gonna do bounds towards this white line here. So we want double leg bounds. Okay, same thing, I'm not gonna educate you, I just wanna see how you execute it. Good. Okay, and just remember for everybody out there, Evan only has a big vertical and he can only jump because it's just natural. It's not because he can power clean a lot, it's not because he can squat a lot. Now, I just wanna throw that as a little troll. Evan there was jumping, slightly collapsing, but he was pretty freaking good. The big goal here is the exact same thing as the hurdles, okay? When we land, we're here and we wanna cycle back through, and this is about where we're gonna land to then project forward. These two jumping movements should be done with the power clean in mind, because we then learn how to apply a massive amount of force in a short period of time through actual specific joint angles. And there is some debate over whether or not the joint angles plays a huge role carrying over to something like a power clean, but I think it still is a technique that can help the athlete start to feel and then transfer over into the weight room and vice versa. And ideally transfer over to a football field, a wrestling mat, field hockey field, wherever you want to be. So now, Evan, even a little bit less knee bend. Out a little more. Okay, that was okay. So he could have had a little bit less knee bend, and then when he changed that, he went a bit too vertical. That's okay. Those are things that we just have to work through. Now, if you want to power clean 225, start with full back squat, ass to grass, 350 pounds. That's usually the marker that you will easily be able to smash that 225 pound power clean. If you're somebody whose power clean is very high and your full clean sort of sucks, comment down below and we'll try and help you guys out so that you guys can continue to smash those gains. Make sure you get into peak strength. We've got entire weightlifting and sports performance-based training to help you hit those power clean PRs. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.